I would now like to welcome Dan Yaccarino. He is an author. He is a creator. He's had his hands on so many books and shows. I'm so excited that he's here to tell us about his new book and to tell us, I don't even know what. Dan Yaccarino, come on up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Great. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. I promise I am the last Italian to be speaking tonight. Got us all, up front, and then the rest are, So, but thank you so much for this chance to talk to you guys. I have written and illustrated about 67 children's books over the span of about 25 years. So I've been very busy. And I've also am the creator and producer of Oswald and a few other things, and I worked on Backyardigans and all of that. And over the last, say, 25 years, I've done a lot of work. I've created a lot of characters in children's books. I told a lot of stories. But over time, I started to become more interested in a book or an animated series that has a reason to exist. I have written and illustrated plenty of books early in my career that are entertaining stories about fun characters. And that was fantastic. That was a lot of fun. But over time, and ever since I had my own children, I started really thinking deeply about why this thing should exist. Why should this book exist? Why should this series exist? And so more recently, I have been very interested in something called positive psychology. And I guess you guys don't know, but this is actually a TED Talk. The CMA thing is over there. That's down the hall. Now, and so I really started reading about this and becoming very, very interested in it and thought that my books, in the animated series could be sort of a way to sort of express these ideas that I have and perhaps make more people aware of just the ideas of positive psychology, but of course layering a character and a story and an environment over it so it's not too pedantic. So positive psychology is more like the difference between going to the doctor once you're sick and going to the doctor for preventative care while you're still healthy. And so in this country, I know that we end up, doing something far after the horse has left the barn. So I'd like to sort of create more kids media that really focuses on positive attributes and how we can strengthen them as parents and caregivers and people who sort of monitor and are the gatekeepers of the children in our lives, the media that they consume. So when you focus on something very, very positive and point out these positive attributes, it really helps them create a sense of gratitude, self-esteem, empathy, which is a giant, I'm still having a little problem with that one, but, and paying forward, which is fairly sophisticated, but I think kids are really capable of that. And it also increases the ability to manage conflict with peers. And so if you are reinforcing more things like sharing and listening, I do believe, and as sort of, a lot of research has proven, that it does have these wonderful effects and that these children will be able to take into adulthood. So they'll be far better than all of us here, maybe in about 20 years. So it enables them to manage negative emotions. Hang on. And it enables them to have better concentration, which can translate into better grades and schoolwork. It even prevents health problems. When you're happier, your resistance is up and you're healthier. It creates more stable and satisfying relationships with adults. And so for all of these things, and it makes them more resilient and optimistic, which I think we can all use. And so for all of those thoughts and those ideas that positive psychology has, I was really eager to somehow express it. And my mediums are animated series and children's books. And like I said, I don't want to be too sort of hit over the head about it, but I started thinking about it and how I can work this idea as sort of the foundation of a book. And one of the things that sort of loosens me up is just sitting down with my sketchbook and drawing. And so I'll just show you a few drawings out of, these are, to me, they're horrible, so, please excuse me. But it's this little mole character kept popping up, And I thought, this is really interesting. And he sort of took on a personality of his own. But you can see that I have no real story here. So this is how my thought process and my creative process, I just start drawing and see, after a couple of days, the smoke clears and I see what I end up with. And so I'm circling this idea. This character could be sort of a representative of positive psychology, of optimism, of being kind to one another, showing empathy, paying forward, all of these different things. How do I work it into a story? And this went on for a while, and I really got nowhere, so I backed myself up, and I started just looking up quotes, sort of just positive, optimistic quotes. Be happy for this moment. This moment is your life. The best way to pay for a lovely moment is to enjoy it. No act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. Now and then, it's good to pause in our pursuit of happiness and just be happy. And so that kind of kick-started the idea for me. And then once I started reflecting on these things, then the book started to emerge. So what I'd like to do right now is read this book to you. So I'm afraid we don't have graham crackers and milk, but maybe we can dim the lights a little bit. And what I'd like to do right now is read you guys one of my more recent picture books called Morris Mole. And those are the end pages. Morris Mole, so you can see where he is in the lineup. We know which one is him, right? We clearly know which one is Morris. There was a mole who lived with his big brothers. Together they dug, they ate, and they slept. The littlest mole was Morris, and he was just a bit different from the rest. One day, his biggest brother announced, "We've run out of food." "Then we must dig down even farther," his second biggest brother declared. The rest of the brothers agreed, except for Morris. "I have an idea," but no one heard him. "Let's go, brothers," all the moles shouted. Dig down, deep in the ground." Morris shouted his idea even louder, but still, no one heard him. He knew what he had to do. He was scared, but he dug deep down and found his courage. "I may be small, but I can do big things," said Morris. So Morris did something none of his brothers had ever done. He dug up. And to me, that represents a positive attitude, creative thinking. And this is what he found. And so that's my little Wizard of Oz moment where, He had never smelled anything so sweet, heard a song so pretty, met folks so friendly, or felt so at peace. And Morris had never tasted anything so scrumptious. He was having such a good time, he almost forgot why he was there. So he gathered up all sorts of delicious things to eat, like crunchy, creepy crawlies, scrumptious snails, wonderfully wiggly worms, tiny, tasty fishies, yummy nuts, and lovely caterpillars. And then he picked what he thought was a particularly big, beautiful blackberry. But it wasn't. It belonged to a very hungry fox. He took one look at Morris and was about to swallow him up in one gulp. The fox suddenly heard a loud growl. "Hide me, please," the fox said. "Always happy to help," replied Morris. He began to dig and dig and dig and dig. "Hey, Pipsqueak," growled the wolf. "Where's that lousy fox?" "I don't know," Morris said, even though he really did. So the wolf left. The fox thanked Morris. And then he and his friends helped find food for the little mole, and Morris thanked the fox. Back underground, Morris surprised his brothers with a feast. "Great job, Morris," his brothers said. "I may be small," Morris said, "but I can do big things." So, the end. There you go. All right. So thank you so much for your time and your patience. My goal is to perhaps bring Morris to a wider audience, in another medium. But I really do feel passionately about preparing our kids and preparing the children in our lives for the future, and also to become more empathetic, more kind people who will perhaps pay forward sometime in their adulthood. Thank you very, very much.